Hi all.
Good morning.
Oh no, I can't hear you. There we go. How is everybody? Okay, who are we missing? Okay. So don't have too much for you all this week, but I do want us to have our quote unquote poetry reading of our cut up poems. So you can do this however you would like. If you have something visual that you want to share, I've enabled screen sharing. If you just want to read your poem, you're welcome to do that. But I'd like to hear, first of all, what the source was of the material. And also, like, what your plans are for the next half of the assignment. What do you plan to do with the poem now that you've generated it? Does anyone want to volunteer to go first?
I can go.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay. Oh wait, I don't have it open. Hold on. I thought I had it open.
It's okay. We're not in a rush.
So my poem was taken. Wait, hold on. That's not it. Hold on. Sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't get a lot. I didn't get a lot of sleep.
I'm
Okay.
familiar with this problem. I think we all are.
Okay. So my poem is from this text I had to read for my lit crit class. I think it's like memes, the new replicators. Yeah. By I forgot. I think Dawkins. Anyways, yeah. Man in particular could not hold a conversation with the superhuman culture, the meme pool. Digital computer, precious memory, storage space, electronic reverberating circuits dominate the attention at the expense of time, drifting clumsily about in its primeval soup. My meme to meme, brain to brain, plant a fertile meme in my mind, a vehicle for the meme's propagation. Value a meme in the meme pool. The memes are being passed on to you. The survival value of the God meme. Belief in life after death. Like a doctor's placebo, imaginary. When we die, great psychological anguish, ghastly torments, mimicry of memes. The meme is a scientific idea, the aspect memicist, abstracted from the context of the whole. How many memes is that? Gene complex, meme complex, an entity in the meme pool. God, time, brain, tyranny is the meme. Turn against their creators, the selfish replicators. Imagination, genes, and memes. We should not seek immortality in memes. Yeah.
So can
Uh,
you tell us a little bit actually about your process? Were you faithful to Zara's rules, or did you take any liberties? How did it work for you?
so I essentially just printed out the article and like highlighted some parts that I thought were interesting, and then like try to put them together. I didn't exactly like cut out anything. I just like highlighted and put them together in a way that I thought would be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I could
And
probably scramble it around a little bit more or try to look more into the passage-ish.
do I think you should or you want to? Well,
I am late.
oh, that's okay. No worries.
Hi, welcome to my meme poem.
uh, Liz, I didn't quite hear what you said. Did you say, should I scramble it more, or do you want to scramble it more?
Um, I mean, I think it looks all right, pretty good right now.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure.
I think so too. Does anyone want to comment on the poem itself?
I liked it. I thought it was just coherent enough that I could like make sense of it, but at the same time it was very random.
I
Thank
really
you.
like the repetition of Neem. I think that's quite interesting, and I think it's because of the content of the poem. It kind of reminds me of a poetry tradition that's kind of come and gone, which is called Flarf. Has anyone ever heard of Flarf? Flarf is a poetry that is basically generated from Google search results. And so you get these kind of discombobulated text snippets that are full of kind of internet speak. And so this kind of reminds me of that. It feels like it's skimmed off of some Google search results. I think particularly because of the content and the non sequiturs.
Hmm.
Liz, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the poem?
Um, I'm not really sure yet. Probably a lot of. I was thinking. I guess like reading the poem now, I'm thinking about like anatomical charts of the brain, or well, memes, obviously. uh, maybe some computer stuff and for this verse.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, just a lot of like images right now.
Okay. I think that's a good
Yeah,
place to start.
yeah.
Anyone else have any other or comments or feedback?
I like the meme concept.
Yeah. I mean, that's the article. It's from 1976 when memes, as we know them, aren't really a thing yet. So memes are just like common ideas rather than funny pictures on the internet.
Yeah, meme actually begins, the word meme is actually like a biological term, right? I assume the article talks about that.
Uh, yeah. It's like I think it's like a certain like I think the article describes it as like a certain idea that gets passed around very quickly that that people would like get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Okay, thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Maybe we should go in the order of your boxes, in which case, Gloria, you would be next. You all have to
Mine
go.
is so cringe though.
What?
It's so cringe. Okay.
Okay, well let's
I
do
won't read it.
let's see if if we think it's cringe, and if it truly is cringe, like maybe we can think about ways to do something else with it.
Okay.
We can work through the cringe. So can you start by telling us where the material comes from?
Yeah, so it came from multiple songs
Okay.
and some poems from like British websites and stuff.
Okay.
So it's very random.
Okay. Do you want to read it?
Okay. The past and the future merge to meet us here. Green maple in early September. I think of lovers as trees. I am the word she read. Take 1 pint of water. You spun gold out of this hard life. So we gave the clock a face. The words I wrote in other years, flicker of shade and sunlight. You pass these instructions down to your daughter, who then pass it down to her daughter. I dive into the future. I will awaken to great confusion. Your life and your dreams. Today is the tomorrow you talked about yesterday. The sight of the stars always makes me, birds as they tweet set free, will shine bright, I can breathe, a star above my head. This feeling always gets away, wishing I could hold on longer. I know where you start, where you end. Across galaxies, galaxies, galaxies. You really need to know, step just a bit closer to me. I'm trying to scroll down, but I can't.
Did you zoom in? Maybe you need to zoom out.
No, I didn't zoom in. I don't know why it's not. Sorry, technical difficulties. I think if I do this, then it'll. Okay, well, that's like, there's only 2 lines left, but that's the
Okay.
majority.
So why tell us why do you think it's cringe?
Because it's really personal. And this is my first being personal with the project, so yeah.
That is okay. So that's interesting. So you found that Zara's idea is true. The cut up is you.
Yeah.
That's
And I
very.
didn't even do it intentional. I just picked out phrases that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone want to respond?
Sorry, also some of these are from books as well. From like books I've read. So.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like your favorite lines from various sources.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so what are what are your plans for what to do with the material?
Just a lot of imagery. It's mostly just, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just gonna be lots of imagery of like stars, trees, yeah, and just emphasis in some words, like making some bold and some smaller.
Okay. And so when you were going through the process of making the poem, did you use paper cutouts? Like did you like maybe handwrite all these different lines and combine them, or did you order them, or how did you do it?
So I looked through text and I highlighted them, and then if I felt they're too like obvious, then I'll mix them up with other words. So some lines you may think, oh, I recognize that from a song, but then there's like a bit that's twisted. That's because I merged it with a different line.
I did think that actually, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting because both you and Liz, you both kind of changed the parameters quite a bit, and it's interesting because like the one thing that I think we didn't cover is Kathy Acker. And Kathy Acker has a kind of a similar process to what you two have both done, which is kind of like a more controlled way of using the cut up, like using multiple texts and merging them together, or really kind of recontextualizing something, but doing it in a more intentional way, like getting rid of the randomness. So I'm sort of regretting not looking at Kathy Acker, and maybe we should go back and do that before class is over, because maybe you all would find it interesting. Does anyone else want to respond to Gloria's poem?
Okay, I made it smaller, so I think, okay, so it says, you really need to know, step just a bit closer to me. The sun-white glow of it, the audience applauds, but we can't hear them. That's it.
Does anyone recognize any of the lines, or perhaps it's not possible?
Like the last one you might know.
I think I recognize, I can't remember the title, but an FKA Twigs song from the Magdalene.
You listen to her?
Yeah, I do.
Good taste. She's a really good singer.
Yes.
I mean, that's not like your fault. She just has really recognizable lyrics, I guess.
Yeah.
I really like the imagery that this poem provides. I think it's gonna look cool.
There's a lot of like natural imagery, like galaxies and trees and stars, water. So it's kind of interesting that even though you took from all these different sources and seemingly not based on a theme, right? Just based on kind of like things that you like, that actually there is, I think, a kind of strong sort of not theme, but sort of naturalist imagery that emerges from the poem as a whole.
I had to cut it down as well. 3 pages. Sunny knows. Yeah.
Anyone else want to comment or respond?
This is kind of weird, but I feel like it reminds me of like the beginning of a movie, like a maybe like a monologue before the start of a movie. I don't know why.
From a monologue, like Beyonce's Lemonade album, she has loads of monologues. I cut them out.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting. It's so interesting how those like little bits of your source, even though they're like obscured and rearranged, they still kind of come out in these different ways. You know, you can still kind of, you get these different feelings from the poem based on those source materials, even when we can't recognize what they are. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on my screen, I have Julia. And I'm just going to step away for 1 second to get a tissue. But you go ahead and start sharing.
Mine is incredibly long, is the only issue. So I will have to cut it down. And I don't think I'm going to read all of it.
Okay.
Because it will take forever. So I guess I'll just read some of my favorite ones. Can y'all see this?
Yep.
Okay. So it's from a poem by H.D. called Eurydice, which is basically like Eurydice's comeback at Orpheus for sending her back to hell. So for my process, I literally printed the poem, which is 6 pages long, and then I just kept rearranging it line by, I didn't cut it up word for word. I cut it up line by line because each line was like 4 words, so I figured that was okay. And then I put it all together. So I will have to cut it down.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see one of my favorite ones, and I'll read that for you. Let's see. I like this one. So I am swept back toward hell. You have swept me back, your arrogance and your ruthlessness. I have lost the earth. I who had lived unconscious, who need no presence. Caught with the flame of the upper earth, you would turn from your own fit paths that hell should be re-inhabited. Such terror, such coils and strands and pitfalls, this colorless light, and you who passed across the light, you who have your own light, the light of your own face. I'll just keep going, I guess. Before I am lost, I tell you this, though you passed among the flowers and speak, such loss is no loss. My hell is no worse than yours. Hell is no worse than your earth. Hell is no worse. Black upon black, everything crossed with black. Why did you glance back? Turn again and glance back. What was it you saw in my face? Why did you hesitate for that moment? Why did you turn back? The fire of your own presence, who was almost forgot. And then the end is basically her being like, haha, I'm out of hell type thing, because I wanted to end it. But yeah, this is it.
Okay. Who wants to respond? So what's interesting about this one to me is actually it hews quite closely to the original.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to hear what you think it means to kind of take this poem and not totally dissect it, but kind of partially dissect it and reorder it. Like what for you like is kind of accomplished by that gesture? What does that gesture mean? Did you think about that?
Not really, but I really actually liked the original poem. I had to basically like teach it to my class senior year, so I had to dissect it and like learn everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way I did it sort of gives it like even more of a happy ending, because at the end she's like, I'm fine type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for the way I ended it, she's like, I'm kind of like above the earth. I'm not actually in hell, and I'm way more peaceful than you are. So I think it just sort of enhances the original one, in my opinion, I guess.
So it's really almost like a rewriting.
Yeah, you could
This
say that.
process of reordering was a rewriting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows about the myth of Eurydice. Oops.
A couple of you do.
Sorry, my screen suddenly went away. Were there a lot of nodding heads? Do we need to be caught up on Eurydice and what happens to her? Julia, do you want to maybe explain what the poem is responding to, the original poem is responding to, and what the materials you're working with?
Yeah, so in mythology, Eurydice and Orpheus are like a couple, I guess. And Eurydice gets bit by a snake. She's like a nymph, I think. And she goes to hell. And then Orpheus is so distraught that he basically just plays his harp or lyre or something and like makes the gods feel sorry for him and everyone feels sorry for him. So then Hades is like, all right, you can come to hell and like save her. But the one condition is that if he looks back, because she's behind him as they're like walking out of hell, if he looks back, she'll go right back and he won't have a chance to save her. So then at the very last second, he looks back and the whole thing was like useless. So the poem is basically just like, the original is like, why the heck did you do that? Like, I would have been fine here. And then at the end, she's like, I am fine here. So it's like her payback, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's also like a feminist response, right? Like you thought you could save me, but actually you couldn't.
Yeah, and it's from her
I
perspective, which
I didn't need you
is
to.
also interesting.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So Julia, what are your plans visually? What are you going to do with the poem?
I liked the misery one that you showed us last week.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking maybe something like that, but that also looked kind of hard to do. So there's definitely a lot of like imagery in this that I could use,
Mm-hmm.
but I liked the misery one, and also whatever the one with like the bush, all the things from the
Mhm.
bush. That one was also interesting. So something like those two, I guess.
Okay, so you're gonna draw from those as examples.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyone else want to comment? Okay, thank you, Julia.
Of course.
Okay, next person on my screen is Arushi.
I will share the document, I guess.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, and so I took this from The Crucible because it was my favorite book that we read in high school. Okay, through its leaded panes, the morning sunlight streams. Lilac is the smell of nightfall. You trafficked with spirits in the forest. We danced, not since I were a girl. He is a sinner, charge of alliance with the red hell. Sex, sin, and the devil were early linked. There be no road between. Spare me, I confessed. My proof is there. The devil is a wily one, a shocked silence. She never saw Satan, bloody mongrel. Aye, she did. She'll ruin you with it. Goodness will not die from me. I cannot. It is a clue. He walks as though toward a great horror. Do you deny it? Diabolical malevolence through helpless sobs. This is contempt, sir. This is contempt. Supernatural murder in such uproar. Great alarm and surprise. The voice of heaven is speaking through the children. Burn a hot fire here. It is a lie. The devil lives, you murderous bitch. Foolish old man. Mad? Beware hard drink. Cry witchery again. The witch and the victim put your heart to rest. With a hysterical cry, I freeze, I freeze. God damns liars, a prodigious stench. Golden candlesticks, take away this shadow. I have no power, drowned in the sea that threatens her. Tears pleasure them. Show a stony heart, as clean as God's fingers, jangling the keys of the kingdom. I am not worth the dust on the feet of them that hang. Leave me my name. Give me a whip. I done my duty.
Okay, do you want to tell us a little bit also about your process? So it's from The Crucible, but did you also pick bits and pieces that you wanted to work with and kind of pull those out and then rearrange, or how did you do it?
Yeah, I basically just flipped through to like a random page and then like closed my eyes, pointed to a part of the book, and then
Oh,
that
okay.
sentence that I land on, I took that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit random. Like I think I could do more to make it make sense a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it is random. I mean, of course it is, with that process, and it's kind of up to you if you want to, work with that randomness, or if you want to like massage the text a bit more. Does anyone want to respond to the poem?
It's really interesting how like even though it's like just bits and pieces from the text itself, it still like has that kind of the same vibe, a similar vibe to the original text. Like they never really it never really like says names of characters. Not even it's like it even like changes like it's from like a play to a poem, but like it's still like you still get like similar ideas, I guess.
Mhm.
I think this is really cool.
Thank you.
Gloria, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I like how graphic it is, and I like how like you really went in there, like you weren't afraid to put like really detailed stuff. And it's just really cool because it's like I don't know, it makes you think of the devil, and it makes you think of like gory stuff, which is really cool. Yeah. It's gonna be really nice when you make it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
yeah. I agree with both Gloria and Liz in that it like I like how it's like it's kind of violent, and I think that the original text is really translated really well through your kind of poem.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that it actually was a random process because you got all this salacious stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is just like good fortune or if it's just really so densely packed into the original that even by kind of flipping and pointing, you can still get so much devil and so much sex and so much shock and gore. It's quite impressive, actually, if it's really just that. And it's so the language is so powerful. You know, it's still even in this disordered way, it still gives like a very clear picture, I think. But it's but actually it's very at the same time very abstract abstract ideas, so there's really a lot visually I think you could possibly do with it. Have you thought at all about what the visual piece will be like?
Yeah, I definitely want to stick with the theme, like this gory, horrific kind of, and I was thinking like sound effects, I could probably incorporate that a lot because there is some imagery that I think could work. So, yeah. And also like font choice of like the words, I think I could play with that too.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to respond, comment? Okay, thank you, Richie. I like poetry reading day. Okay, next person on my screen is Logan.
I just had it written down on a piece of paper, so I don't have anything to screen share.
That's fine.
No. So I guess I'll just get started. Or do you want me to like explain? Or do you want me to?
Well, I mean, I'd like to hear what the source is, but if you'd rather read the poem,
yeah, the source.
that's also fine.
Yeah, the source is an article about cognitive psychology, specifically about sleep and like how that affects you. It's a pretty vague article, but I felt like that was pretty necessary for this kind of assignment. So I'll just jump into it. This is just like a first or maybe second draft. So here it is. Sleep. Less a stroll through our unconscious and more a necessary obstacle that must be complied to. Without it, your creativity becomes stifled and eyes become droopy as the mind wanders back to a more primitive state. Though with it, a third of our very being is taken away from us. Any attempt to free yourself from the magic number of 8 will be adversely felt throughout the body and the mind. And yet, at a vulnerable time, we must intentionally break the chains of our bodily needs for academic purposes. I am upset that I have to wake up at 6 a.m. Reading it out loud now, it seems a little short. It's taking up half of this page, but I also have big handwriting, so maybe I can stretch it out a little longer.
I mean, I think you'll have a lot of, and I don't think the length is particularly important, actually. I mean, I think it would be a bigger problem if it were too long rather than too short. Does anyone want to respond?
It's very topical.
To like this class, like waking up in the morning.
just to like school in general. Yeah, it could. I think it could be like a little bit longer, but yeah, like as Faye said, I don't think that should be like an issue. Like I guess it's more about the video than the poem itself, right? Yeah.
To read slower.
Read it slower.
Or you don't have to read it at all, really. That is an optional part here. You can just use the text as it is, or you can just use the text visually, I should say. You don't have to read your poems aloud. That's only if you want to.
Yeah, I'll consider that. I guess I didn't realize that was an option.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Anyone else want to respond? Do you want to tell us, Logan, a little bit about what you have planned visually?
Nothing is super specific yet because this is still sort of an early draft thing, and I might still change it.
Uh-huh.
But generally, I was thinking something that maybe more akin to our like abstract music video, because like sort of sleeping and dreaming, your mind is more in an abstract state.
Mm.
And then maybe towards the end where like, you're waking up and stuff like that, and things become a little more concrete, a little more, yeah. But I still don't have anything permanently planned, so it's all still malleable.
I think that's a really nice idea. Yeah, I like that arc. Anyone else want to comment? Okay, thank you, Logan. Okay, next person on my screen is Alex. Do you have a poem for us, Alex? I know you had a move.
I'm finally settled.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you. Took a second. What did you say? You're settled now?
Yeah, I'm settled now, but my Wi-Fi is not that great right now for the time being, but it should improve in the next few weeks. Here, let me screen share. So my source is this sort of like stream of consciousness that I wrote about my mother and her life.
Mm-hmm.
And my process was very similar to Arushi's, where I would just like close my eyes and like point to a word on the page, and then I edit it some. Lose. She knows build, she's seen war, but to her another indulgence, another place held tightly. Her memories, each a wounded soul thrown here. See this hardworking woman around. Overcome this suffering. See your sisters, Lioness. They struggle. See their eyes. It's time. There's nothing more shattered than war. Oh, to forget thousands. It has shaped her sacrifice for all of her life. Her eyes. Oh, her eyes. Her eyes have seen. They overcome one another. Take her eyes. Go to the place where murals are seen. Lose her hues. A life's work. Bring her the glass she holds. Lose her sons. Overcome these ceilings with her ambition, so history can overcome. Lioness. Thousands care to forget, but another new brings sacrifice. Eyes blocked by eyes. Suffering shaped by history. Eyes know. Eyes saw countless disregarded years. Her world shattered countless times, leaving the life she holds dear.
Okay, who wants to respond? Excuse me, sorry.
I just want to know like what text you got the words passages from.
So it was like a stream of consciousness, like essay type thing that I wrote about my mother.
Oh, okay. I I kind of spaced out. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's really cool though.
I'm curious, Alex, since you're the only person so far who used your own words, did you like discover something new about what you had already written through this process?
Um, yeah, I guess you could say that. It was I had like only interpreted like my mother's life in like facts and like her stories, but like I see a lot of myself through this, which is nice. Um, and I can see a lot of like the implied things about her life that she didn't necessarily tell me.
Mm. One thing that's interesting, but from like your photo roman to this poem, I mean, I don't know what the significance of this is, but they both are like these pieces, right? So like this idea of bricks and like laying the bricks versus like shattering, which I think comes up like a few times in the poem, right? Things are like shattered and lost and broken, and like this imagery of like bits and pieces that are either getting built up or broken down is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm yeah, that was one of the things that I actually um like discovered. Because the line that has like all the shattering imagery in my original text is about my mom shattering glass ceilings.
Oh.
Um, but but like it was like one of the like self realization things that like I hadn't realized before, that like a lot of what I consider my identity, or like what I struggled with as far as my identity,
Mm-hmm.
um was always felt like I was like grasping at straws. So this was this was my way of saying that.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to comment?
I liked how you brought up the part about identity. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I also like that you used a lioness as like a symbol of your mom. I think that's really powerful, and like maybe in your video you could somehow incorporate that. I think that would be cool.
Such a beautiful word, isn't it? Just like in and of itself.
Yeah. Another funny thing, I guess, was that like I never actually thought of my mother as a lioness. I call her lioness because we're both very much into astrology, and her,
Yeah.
my brother, like majority of my family were all Leos. So, yeah. So like I always call her lioness because out of all the Leos in my family, she's the only woman. And like yeah, but writing this and doing this kind of poem like brings that more brings makes it more powerful.
Gloria, were you going to say something else?
Yeah, it's just a side note, but you know how you refer your mum as a lioness? That's quite interesting because my mum refers me and my sister as like swans. And like we're like the three swans. That's like what she always used to call us when we were little. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is very common, like these different, kind of animal metaphors that we have for each other, and particularly as it relates to family relations, like my whole family is understood by, kind of different generations of cat metaphor. I'm Faithy Cat, and my daughter is a kitten, and, my so on. I'm not going to go on with this, but I think this is a common way to like relate to family members, is like kind of metaphorizing people as different animals. It's kind of an interesting thing that it brings up. Alex, do you want to tell us a little bit about your visual plans for the poem?
So yeah, I kind of want it to be like choppy, like or the visual component, I want it to be choppy, and I want it to feel as if the viewer is being thrown around per
So it's
se, because
almost like the video
I
itself will be a cut up, maybe.
yeah, yeah, and like I wanted to not not to like inflict pain, but like to like I want it to feel as if like, for lack of better words, like you're getting tossed around amongst a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. There's plenty of, film and video art that intentionally inflicts pain on the viewer. So there's a rich tradition. I think you all are mostly escaping those screenings from me, for whatever fortuitous reason for you all. But certainly, it's a rich part of like visual culture, is like actually making the viewer either uncomfortable or even physically, I guess we're not looking at anything that flickers particularly in this class, but there's a whole genre that derives from the avant-garde tradition called the flicker film. And the flicker film is actually something that's incredibly simple. It starts on film, analog film. So it's black leader, just pure black, and a white leader, pure white, alternating every single frame. So it creates a strobe effect. And what's interesting about it, to me at least, is that you can't not see it if you're in the room with it. You can close your eyes and you will still see it. And it has a really deeply bodily effect. That's very uncomfortable. It's hard to watch. After, maybe 15 or more years of watching flicker films, I think I'm somewhat more accustomed to it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of precedent for you to inflict pain on us.
I also want to draw images from the Nicaraguan Revolution.
Okay.
That was a huge part of what I know my family to be, and my mom's story, per se.
Great. Sounds like it'll be really interesting. Does anyone else want to comment or respond? Okay, thank you, Alex. Okay, Diana, you are next on my screen.
Can we see it? I don't know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I got this from like. Sorry, I'm so out of it right now. Give me a second.
That's okay.
I
Take
got
your
this
time.
from a text message that was sent to me by one of my friends, and I guess that's like a little personal. But yeah. So I guess I'll just read it. No, I can't watch like you are okay. You are the sweetest. You let others hurt you. You really can't seem to, for me or anyone else, make sure you are okay. Stop pretending. I will, 5 hours away, because you don't want to. Kindness, most thoughtful and caring, you let others treat you like crap. Sometimes my heart breaks seeing you have to preserve. Bother or inconvenience, feel bad about yourself. Don't you ever, I can't even imagine how much it took. You hurt yourself, it hurts me too, an understatement. I can't watch as your world, no, the world, breaks as planned in your mind. Please, please, please let me know. Do it for you. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm sorry, I can't read it.
It's okay. We can read the rest on our own. It's okay. Obviously, this is an incredibly personal text. I mean, like a private conversation, and regardless of what kind of treatment it's gotten, even being rearranged, it's still really difficult material to work with, right? Like I would frankly never show you all my text messages, God help us. Like that's so difficult. So I think it's really brave that you use that as material, and obviously it has like great significance and was not only just a text message, but, you know, a difficult conversation to have. Um, does anyone want to respond?
I like how you managed to keep it sounding like a back and forth, almost like a dialogue, even though it's just one, um, you know, like poem. I think that could work really interestingly for how you choose to portray that back and forth, like between two people in your actual video. It's a really great poem, Diana. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I think another thing that's very interesting about it is that you can kind of tell that it's from text messages because of the kind of language that's used. And that's the kind of language that we really only see in like fairly specific contexts. So even with it rearranged and not in, you know, like chat bubbles and, you know, decontextualized, that kind of the specific texture of that kind of language still comes through. And I think that's another thing that could be really interesting in the final piece to kind of work with. Do you know, Diana, what you plan to do with it visually?
Well, I didn't actually get to see any of the examples from the video because they were sent through the links. But what I was thinking of when I was writing it and reading it through, I was thinking of like the photo romance that we did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be probably something like that.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Did you had a problem with the presentation or?
No, I was just watching the class recording, but like you like watched the videos in different links, so I wasn't able to see like the recordings of that part.
Oh yeah, but the presentation is also on Canvas, so you can follow all the links. Yeah. So you can you'll be able to see all that stuff.
Okay.
And I think that will be helpful. Anyone else want to respond? Okay, thank you, Diana. Okay, last person on my screen is Sunny.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. Okay, it's from an essay that I wrote for lit class.
Mm-hmm.
It's just character analysis. So yeah, I mean, I tried to follow like the same order, like picking words out in the same order, like kind of how you would do a blackout poem. But I did fudge it a little because I wanted to.
That's fine. Cheating is allowed in this case.
Okay, I'll just read it out loud.
Okay.
Meet me in Psyche, mimic meek and violent like a human, new and yet unhealed. The body strains another vein, repeats repulsion and self-sabotage, violent though it is. Self and self-desired and monstrous in counterpart. You, my mother, birthed the child as an altar to banish itself, sacrifices and rituals of contradiction. Now both memory and body stands autonomous, no more but forward. Struggle is in discovering it is not complete the child it once was. To become human again is another gratuitous manifestation of someone that it is not. Development is over, but over and over. So refuse demand and make conclusions of your own heart, love. Part of being is a reinterpretation still.
Sunny, can I ask, you said it's a character analysis. What is the character from?
We're watching Lovecraft Country, the TV show.
Uh-huh.
And there's this character called Chia. So I chose to analyze like her relationship with her parents and herself.
Got it. And did you learn anything new since again you kind of used your own text as material? Did you learn anything new about your own writing through this process?
Well, not really analysis wise. I think the poem pretty much follows what I had to say in the essay. I kind of follow like this arc of like having a more positive conclusion and just like if there was a plot to the poem almost. That's kind of the plot that my essay followed. But writing wise, like in terms of the language that I have and chose, like vocabulary, I found that I used a lot more like really dramatic words than you would normally see in an analytical essay, which was like strange to me, seeing them all like cut out and put together because I didn't really see the essays like so violent and visceral. I thought it was more academic, but like I can see it now. So that was interesting.
That also stood out to me, like, oh, all this beautiful language and this like academic analysis. So yeah, I'm interested to hear that you had the same realization, or that you didn't know it was there and you found it. Does anyone else want to respond? I don't have any context for Lovecraft Country. I don't know if anyone else does. I know it's popular.
Well, as a person who's like watched the show, it's really cool. I can actually see what you're talking about. A lot of stuff on here is like really strong. Actually, I like this a lot. It's almost like it's almost like I guess like allegorical to like struggling with your identity or fighting with yourself internally or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I chose the essay topic because it was kind of personal, and I did get a little personal in the essay, so I definitely pulled at that more when I was writing the poem.
Yeah.
I actually did intend it to be like more about me than the character, the poem.
So you also found yourself in the poem, right? Zara's prophecy. Anyone else want to respond?
It has a really strong ending. The ending's really powerful. Yeah, I really liked it.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your plans for it, Sunny, visually?
Oh, well, I missed the examples that were shown in class, so I don't really know what to expect actually in terms of that.
Okay. Yeah, so the same thing for you as for Diana, all of this stuff is on Canvas, and if you want, I can show you specifically, but where the demo, oh, did I upload the class? I hope I did. Wait, Diana, you saw the class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the class is uploaded, and I'm pretty sure the slides, I'll double check now. I'm pretty sure the slides are loaded up too, and for every slide, if it's not embedded directly in the slide, then it's a link. So you can go back and watch every single thing that we watched together.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll do that in preparation for my video.
Did anyone else want to comment on Sunny's poem? Oh, I think I didn't put up the presentation. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. Okay, thank you, Sunny. So I'm a bit curious, just kind of hearing your responses. How many of you found yourselves in your poem, as Zara says?
I did.
How many of you found the past? Or did anyone find the past? Also that. Does anyone think that, maybe we don't know this definitively, but does anyone think that they found the future?
I think I found the present merge with the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think I just like found.
Memes.
I want to say memes, but also I don't really know what I found. I guess just like the existentialism in memes, sort of. I don't know.
So you
I'm
found,
just using big words. I'm just using big words at this point. I don't know.
so okay, but that's interesting. Maybe you think you found, or maybe you found something about memes that wasn't already present in the essay you were reading, the original text you were reading itself. Is that fair?
Maybe I'll look into it a bit. I think I'll look into it a bit more, but yeah. I think I've barely scratched the surface with my poem.
Well, it's not done, right? There's still more more to be done there. So
There's more I can do, yeah.
yeah. I mean, for everyone, right? We're only halfway through. So maybe more things will emerge once these elements again kind of become detached and recombined as you're putting together your videos. Okay, I think maybe that's all we need to do today. But I do want to ask, does anyone have any questions or concerns about the project? You all have quite a bit to do, so I want to let you go do it.
Is there going to be async stuff today? Or is it just-
There is a tutorial for you all to watch, which will give you a few more kind of like tools in your belt in order to make your videos. But there's no in-class assignment because this is a fairly short timeline for this assignment. So I suggest that you all use this in-class time to start working on the video portion of this video. And then once you have a little bit of material, I suggest you meet with your cohorts and kind of bounce it off each other and kind of get some feedback on it in progress.
Got it. And the videos due next week, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, so as I said, there is a demo. I don't remember how long it is, but I think it's relatively short or medium length. So it should be fairly fast to go through, and it will give you a couple of more tools in your After Effects belt. I talk about making masks in After Effects, and particularly how you can do those with text itself. And also just some other tools that you can access, some presets you can access in After Effects to work with the text. I do want to caution you all not to put too heavy a hand on the presets. Like, don't just, kind of go from one preset to a next, and think about how you can really adapt them to very specifically to what you're doing. You'll find that videos that rely too much on these presets are just, it's just really obvious that that's what's happened. The presets have a kind of particular look, even though they're all different. There is a particular look to them. And you don't want to get too, I don't know, bogged down by that. But you'll probably see what I'm saying once you start getting into After Effects and playing around. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, so then I also just want to, before I let you go, briefly kind of, or not remind you, but kind of let you know that this is actually our last big project. We'll have some more like smaller in-class assignments, but at this point, we're going to start shifting to the final project. And that we'll talk about it next week in more depth, but it's really about something that you design. And that's really an important part of the project, is that it's really something of your own design, something that you want to do, something that you'll enjoy doing, something that you'll be proud of at the end of it. So you might all want to start kind of like get those gears churning, what that might look like. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have proposals, but you might want to just start putting it in the back of your head, like, oh, final project, I can do whatever I want. What is it? Endless possibilities. Really fun to play with this frame. Okay, and on that note, I'm going to let you all get to it. If you run into problems while you're actually making your videos, of course, you can email me or get to me on Slack. I think these poems are really great. I'm really impressed with what you all did. So I really look forward to seeing what you do with them again for next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, bye. Thank you.